It'll be 20 years to the day soon. The day the sky was ripped apart and countless bolts of light rained down upon us. I think this calls for a little history lesson. In 1994, a group of asteroids was discovered taking a long elliptical orbit around the Sun. They were created when an unknown asteroid struck the 1986 VG1 Ulysses, an asteroid in orbit around Jupiter. The orbit of these Ulysses asteroids was on a collision course with Earth with an estimated 10,000 meteors set to strike the surface. Since there was no way to divert the orbit of each asteroid, construction began on a vast anti-air railgun network, a last-ditch effort to intercept and destroy the meteors. They built 6 facilities. The test unit Type 0 was built in China. Type 1 was built in America, and then 4 Type 5 units were built in Australia, Turkey, Namibia, and Argentina. In July 1999, the asteroids began to strike. Thanks to the railgun network, damage was kept to a bare minimum, only about enough to destroy the entire world order. Never in its existence had mankind experienced such a catastrophe. It came to be called the Ulysses disaster. The near-total loss of infrastructure led to economic chaos, particularly in the hard-hit Eurasian continent. To avoid total breakdown, the nations of Asia and Southern Europe rearranged themselves into regional federations. Military budgets were slashed, and the Federation poured most of their money into rebuilding. The depletion of energy sources brought on by the loss of territory soon proved to be a major problem, one that quickly led to an escalation in disputes over natural resources. We'll continue this later. Welcome back. Let's continue where we left off. Now, where was I? Oh, right. So tensions were escalating worldwide. The wars that resulted led to an increasing number of refugees. To handle these refugees, special semi-autonomous zones were established in the EU, the Asian nations, and part of Russia. EULI, the zone founded in southern Russia, was the largest of them land-wise, which allowed them to take in vast numbers of migrants. But these refugees were treated like cheap labor. Living conditions grew worse, and the region was soon home to gigantic slum areas. Anti-foreign worker demonstrations were rife across the entire zone, threatening peace and welfare in the surrounding regions. As a result, a certain company stepped in to help support the job market in the refugee zones. That company was Werner Noah Enterprises, the defense contractor giant. Once nations had to slash their military budgets after the Ulysses disaster, the private military service industry with its mercenary forces experienced a major boom. Also, thanks to the Advanced Automated Aviation Plan introducing enhanced computer numerical control to aircraft manufacture, it became a simple matter to rebuild previously existing aircraft designs. The resulting glut in available aircraft led to a new issue, a lack of pilots to control them. Hence why you now see mercenary groups cobbled together from dropout pilots. But I digress. The nations and federations overseeing the special zones welcomed Werner's support. In turn, Werner received huge parcels of land and a huge workforce to do its bidding. Soon the company expanded from its core military business into energy and space development. Their business had an enormous impact on recovery efforts around the world, and the localized conflicts began to simmer down. Now we come to today, 20 years later. The special zones have shown major economic growth under Werner's wing. But the huge weapons stockpiles stored in these zones have made them a breeding ground for armed extremist groups. These groups have formed a multinational network spread across the special zones. And more we're seeing them carry out anti-imperialist attacks in the nations surrounding EULI. This has led the UN and the world's superpowers to label them terrorists. Which brings us to... Are you awake? Sorry, you must be tired. We can pick this up another time.
Hey everyone, you just watched an Ace Combat video in 60 frames per second, done using motion interpolation. Motion interpolation, for those who don't know, simulates a higher frame rate video by using 2 existing frames and using an algorithm to generate an intermediate frame. And I used it for this video because Ace Combat isn't a 60 frames per second game. It's 30 or maybe even less, so you'll notice a little bit of jitter when I upload my gameplay video later on. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and stay tuned for the next one.